Welcome back, everyone. Today we are discussing enzyme inhibition. And today is really a great day to jump into inhibition because we have learned enough about enzyme kinetics and mechanisms to start understanding how inhibition happens. Here are the learning outcomes for the day. So we are going to learn about a new constant called Ki, but it won't be that big of a deal because it's pretty similar to Km. We're going to get back to our Lineweaver-Burk plots, and we're going to learn more about them by learning about three main types of inhibition. Finally, when we learn these types of inhibition, we want to kind of have a conceptual understanding of how the inhibition is happening so that we can describe why an inhibitor changes either Km or Vmax. Our Meet a Scientist moment today is Julia Serrano. She is a scientist and activist and is a trans woman. She studied the physical development of fruit flies at UC Berkeley. That picture behind her kind of looks like some kind of fruit fly art background. Something cool about her research is she found a gene that controls the size of flies, and she called it bite size. And that's one of my favorite things about people who do research on Drosophila is they always have the chance to name genes, these cutesy little things, and that's my favorite. Let's jump into why we're here today, folks. Let's talk about inhibition. Let's talk about how we change or impact or modulate an enzyme's kinetic activity. Inhibition is one primary way to do that. And we will call an inhibitor any molecule that either increases the enzyme's Km or decreases the enzyme's Vmax. This is going to be the vast number of inhibitors. And also, most of the types of pharmaceutical drugs that you take are likely inhibitors. There's also an activation that we're not going to focus on today, but I will mention it at the end. And an activator is a molecule that will irreversibly produce the activity of the enzyme, so we see it kind of kills the enzyme. And these do so because they bind so tightly that they rarely dissociate from the enzyme, or they covalently bond to the enzyme and so therefore cannot unbind. But it is rare for drugs to perform this type of covalent modification. In comes our new constant, Ki. This inhibition constant kind of tells us how potent the inhibitor is. We can think of it as being very similar to Km. It is the concentration of inhibitor needed to produce 1/2 maximal inhibition. So slightly different than Km. Km is the concentration of substrate to reach 1/2 Vmax. But these are very similar, so it shouldn't feel like a totally new thing to you at all. So if an enzyme has a small Ki, we would consider that a strong inhibitor. If an enzyme has a large Ki, we would consider that a weak inhibitor. Also on the screen, you see I have the equation for calculating Ki, just kind of your typical equilibrium constant. That wraps up our first video. On to the three types of inhibition we're here to learn about today.